presentation of this course. And I also try to, make our course be better for your student. Okay, I would like to explain something, but we are working now in Indiana. And next, we will move on to orientation for this class, for this course. And we will start about the materials. So this shows some information, but we are working in Indiana, in the United States these days. These are three major programs that we have been working these days. And this is the program that we have been working with your university. UC Santa Maria, Catholic University of Santa Maria in Peru, Arequipa. And good thing is that the Japanese government certified, authorized this program as a qualified Eduport Japan program. So this is awarded by Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology. They have a long name, and they, make MEXT, MEXT. This is the name of one of Japanese ministry. They are working on education and research, as well as sports, culture, and technology. The last December, they awarded, our program as one of their authorized program in the world. So they try to encourage us to send more students or more professors to oversee. And this is one program that they selected. And development of model curriculum of food sciences. So they told me that this is very unique. So last week we had hearing with the people in the Ministry of Education, and they were very happy working with your university, UC Santa Maria, and they encourage us to, expand this program more and more by making more courses. So far, we have 3 courses: Sake Basic and Sake Advanced. So Sake Advanced is our program courses that we have just started this afternoon. And the third one is tea, working on tea. And these are name of institution or Japanese private company. And they have been supporting National Research Institute of Brewing in Hiroshima Prefecture. This is an only public institution working on, I think, rice wine sake in the world. And they have a large amount of knowledge, and they have very updated research outcomes. So we can work together, and we have input from them to make our course better and better. This is another company, Ajinomoto, in, I think, Lima, in Peru. They have been operating their business for more than 50 years in Peru. And they produce a variety of products, food products, including MSG, monosodium glutamate. They found, actually, one scientist found umami is the fifth major taste from seaweed, I think 100 years ago. And based on their finding, observation, Ajinomoto Company was established in Japan, and they operate in Peru for more than 50 years. I think, some graduate, former student of UC Santa Maria have been working in Ajinomoto, Peru. And fortunately, they offered us to help more courses, to develop more courses in the future. And one is taste and flavor, new courses we have been working to develop, to make new courses on taste and flavor. And hopefully, your university, UC Santa Maria, will make a connection with Ajinomoto more tight through this program. So this is one company. Another company, Ippodo Tea Company. Some of you may be familiar with the name of Ippodo. They developed new courses on tea, and we offered courses program last summer, I think, tea in Kyoto. And another company, Estudios. This is another company in Kyoto. They also offered us to develop new courses about sweet, like dessert. Traditional Japanese sweet was awarded as a kind of heritage last October. So they offered, Estudios company offered us to develop new courses working on dessert or sweet. And another company, Suzuhiro Kamaboko. Kamaboko is a traditional Japanese food, processed food with seafood like fish. Kamaboko or surimi. You may know the name of surimi or word of surimi. This company is one of the most famous company making kamaboko surimi in Japan. And they offer, and also Suntory. I think Kenny have already visited distiller of Suntory who produce whiskey in Kyoto area. And they also offered us to develop new courses, distilled alcohol beverage, like whiskey or brandy or gin. So we now have many collaborators to develop or to make our program more attractive. So hopefully, we can offer more courses on the variety of food in near future. So once Japanese government certified our program, and more company or more people try to join us. And also one university in Romania, they want to join our program. So I try to find more university, and they will be your partner. So you may exchange student or professor with university who will be interested in this program. So this will be the start to make many friends or colleagues in the world. And I try to visit at the Portuguese early April. Hopefully, I will find more university who want to work with UC Santa Maria, your university in the future. I try to find some university in Portuguese. So this is the one of our project, and this is another project that we have been working on primary and secondary education. So as a visiting professor at the Indiana University, I have been working with local school in this town, and also Ochanomizu University in Tokyo. So we are working to exchange the program of primary and secondary education, especially science education, between the US and Japan. So now local school start to grow small medaka fish, which is endogenous tiny fish in Japan or in East Asia. And also we now have more than 250 variety of morning glory that was sent from Japan, Kyushu University, to us. So this is another program. So hopefully, we can exchange knowledge and skill between among us, US, Japan, and Peru in the future. And also we try to make outreach program at the IU, Indiana University, and some restaurant in Chicago. So we try to explain or introduce the essence of the subject performed and developed as a part of higher education with you. And we try to teach or sake or tea or some other food to the consumer public at the university or restaurant in Chicago, as well as in Indianapolis. So these are what we have been working these days. Because last June, Japanese government, this is the name of Act on Promotion of Education at Overseas Educational Institution, Basic Measures. This is the name of law, new law in Japan. Last June, this was passed. And based on this law, we can now have subsidies from Japanese government, even we locate in the US. So it will help us to promote this program. And this is the structure. Oh, yeah, I have already explained. National Research Institute of Brewing. I will ask them to accept, your student or your professor as a visiting scholar. So they officially help us. They involve our program. What have been working with you. So I try to ask them to accept the exchange student or professor from your university. And the industry is a name that we have been already I explained. So this is a structure that we have been working. And this is the item, just items of the syllabus for this course. This is the one of 3 courses that we have been developed last 2 years. And this is the name of Sake Advance. Some of you may took Sake Basic last winter, January, February, and March. And this is a Sake Advance. So this afternoon I try to explain alcohol beverage and respiration and fermentation. And So each day, I will cover 2 items, 1 and 2 for this afternoon. Kenny, can you look at these notes?
The note of the slides, Professor?
Yeah, down below can you read these
Yes.
notes? Oh, okay. My English is terrible. So I try to, write note. So it may help you to understand what I try to explain. My Japanese is very fluent, but my English, I have been in the US more than 30 years. When I
Thank you,
was,
Professor.
and I also try to put my slide or summary on the Google Drive. So, or if you have good, system or resources like Teams, and you can also upload my materials. So once I try to make it through Google Drive, but Teams, what you have also.
It's possible in Teams or in Google Drive. No problem, Professor. In
Okay.
Teams, it's in OneDrive.
Okay, I see.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. Because I try to record my lecture through Zoom, and now I realize again my English is terrible. So I try to help your student to understand more by using some additional effort. So I hope I will move on. I can move on to another slide. How can I make it? First, and I try to switch the PowerPoint, another PowerPoint. Lecture 1. Window. Yeah. Okay. Can you find my Sake Studies Advanced 1? Another
Yes,
PowerPoint.
Professor.
Okay. Oh yeah, one thing. The president at the Nikkei, which is the name of supermarket in Lima, he offered us to help something. So we tried to arrange sake and some snacks to you. I found that he lives in the Los Angeles, and he also operates the Nikkei supermarket in Lima. So the other day he offered his help to make this course more attractive. So I hope it makes more easy. It makes easier to access some food like sake or snacks or tea in the future. Here we come. So let's start the sake studies. So we will have 2 hours. So I will make 10-minute break between 2 sessions. So first topic is alcohol beverage. Some of you already took sake basic last winter. So you may familiar with, some soft drink we covered last winter, coffee, cocoa, tea, etc. So this is a photo of Japanese mini mart, super convenience store in Tokyo area. Many teas, green tea, and mineral water. on the shelf. But also, this showed the alcohol beverage on the same shop. This is the, I think, Lawson is the name of convenience store. These are all sake, rice wine. These are shochu, distilled sake. These are also bottled sake. So in the United States, very strict. So young people like, junior high or student at the elementary school cannot buy. But these days, even in Japan, the regulation became more strict, but still it seems very open and not very strict compared with in the US. These are wine, these are sake, these are whiskey on the shelf. So wine, beer, whiskey, or gin, we covered last winter as a major alcohol beverage. So you may know, you may have some knowledge, information about these major alcohol beverage. I hope this note will help you. I have not stopped by liquor in Peru, Arequipa, very much. I don't remember very well, but when I will be in Arequipa next time, I try to stop by to take more photo and introduce alcohol beverage or food tradition or food culture in Peru to other universities like in Japan or like in university in Romania. They will be interested in. Yeah, this note helped me. So this slide shows some category, 1, 2, 3, of alcohol beverage. Okay, next time I also try to translate this part into Spanish using Google Translator. Hopefully it will help you more. Raw materials or fermented drinks. This category, wine made by grapes, cider made by fruit. Okay, in this fruit, grape, apple, already has enough amount of sugar. Yeast can utilize sugar, but yeast cannot utilize starch or carbohydrate other than sugar. So these can be called as a fermented drinks. One example is wine. One example is cider, perry. And another category is called brewed and fermented drinks. Beer and sake belong to this category. Beer made by barley or made by wheat. Sake made by rice. The cereal does not have much sugar. Most of carbohydrate found in barley, wheat, rice are starch. The yeast cannot utilize the starch, cannot break down starch into CO2. So first, we have to make sugar from starch found in barley, wheat, and rice. So for the case for making beer, people use malt. Malt is, partially germinating seed. So plant enzyme break down starch into sugar in the bud, germinating seed. And we can put yeast. And yeast can utilize sugar. And yeast break down starch. Utilize sugar found in malts. So it is called brewed. And for the case of sake making, rice does not have much sugar. So we have to make sugar first by using rice cereal. And for sake making, people use fungi, actually enzyme of fungi. It is called Aspergillus oryzae, is one of the popular fungi, name of fungi. So for making sake, brewing is performed by fungi. For beer, brewing is performed by enzyme of plant itself. So first, for both beverage, sugar will be made first. Next is break sugar to make alcohol. And distilled drink, this is the third category. Spirits, liquor, like the brandy. So these are, alcohol beverage with higher alcohol concentration, 40 or 50%. Wine has about around 10% of alcohol, I think. Some white wine in like Portuguese, alcohol level is around 6, 7, 8%. But in California, they have lots of sunshine, not much rain in the fall. And some wine has more than 15% of alcohol level in red wine, like a Zinfandel. The brewed and fermented drink, beer has around 6, 7% of alcohol. And sake reached more than 20% of alcohol level. So sake is considered as the alcohol beverage with the highest alcohol level as a brewed and fermented drinks. But the distilled drinks, so like whiskey, is a distilled alcohol beverage by using kind of beer. They do not use hop to make whiskey. But other than that, procedure to make whiskey is followed by the production of beer without hop. Usually, alcohol level is around 40% found in whiskey. So these are three major. And also, distilled drink can be made by using fermented drink like wine. Wine makes brandy. Beer makes whiskey. So this is a slightly different character. It has slightly different character as alcohol beverage. But still, these three are major category or classification of alcohol as alcohol beverage. You may be familiar with the ethanol, ethyl alcohol. Methyl alcohol are very toxic, but ethyl alcohol found in alcohol beverage. This is the ethyl alcohol. It's made by sugary liquid and yeast makes ethyl alcohol under low CO2 condition. The volatile, colorless liquid ethanol is a volatile, colorless liquid with unique odor, ethereal odor, to smell like ethyl alcohol. And it is obtained via fermentation. Ethyl alcohol is obtained via fermentation and concentrated via distillation. If we will make whiskey or brandy or gin. So we will take a look at some alcohol beverage. So beer or wine was originated very early. People believe that beer and wine are developed, made like 8,500 BS. Beer was made in Mesopotamia area. So you may already know about the beer. If you took sake basic. So I will briefly mention about the beer history. So beer was developed first in this area. This is Saudi Arabia, Iran, Kuwait, Iraq. So this is called Sumerian civilization was developed. BC 5000, BC 1750. So this area, beer was developed, originated and developed long time ago. And also wine was developed, originated in the same area, about the same, 7000 BC. I will take a look. Similarly, in ancient Mesopotamia is the name of civilization in this area. Grapes were cultivated for making wine. And also in China, at the same time, alcohol was made by fermenting honey obtained by bee, fruit, and rice. So wine also has a long history. And people believe wine production was originated in this area, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia. This area. So close to the area, people developed or originated beer production and wine production. It's interesting. So they must have very, advanced technology or skill or knowledge about agriculture or food processing technique. People in this area, very small, but wine production spread across Europe from this area. Goes to west, and in this wine culture, go to other area like South America, North America, and Australia, and South Africa in 16th century. So you have very, traditional grape variety in Peru. It has good history to make good wine. So I explained some grape variety last winter in Sake Basic. So this is another famous alcohol beverage, wine. Wine and beer has long history. So kumis, this is another old alcohol beverage made by fermented milk liquor, made by fermenting horse milk. It was popular among nomads, such as Mongolia and Central Asian countries like Azerbaijan or this area. Central Asian country, people drink fermented horse milk. It has low level of alcohol, ethyl alcohol, but still people consider this is an alcohol beverage with long history. And you can find her face. Some people may not like it because of maybe smell, stinky smell. I try to, maybe, I hope you can listen some sound. If you cannot listen sound, I try to adjust later. Kenny, can you listen sound?
Professor, sorry,
Yeah.
I can listen to you.
Can you listen?
Yes, Professor. Give me a moment. No, Professor. I don't listen.
Oh, I see. Maybe we need to adjust.
But give me a moment, Professor.
Okay. Somewhere sound, share sound.
Give me a moment. Help you is fermented milk.
Well, I can moving forward.
Yeah.
Why we try to figure out share sound. No.
Yeah. Give me a moment, Professor.
Oh, sure. No problem.
If you give me, I can share your video. It's okay?
Sure.
I can share your video. Okay, Professor. Give me a moment.
On today's menu.
Oh, you already found it.
Yeah, it's okay. I
share
the video.
Sure. No problem. Thank you very much.
Okay, Professor. Okay, Professor.
Thank you.
This.
So this is
that smells so
kumis.
good. It smells like a delicious
Made by
candy I
horse
want to
milk.
eat.
Across the
Low
globe, what's
level
delicious
alcohol.
is questionable.
With long history.
Why would you eat that? Excuse me. This is Stan. Stan loves milk. You wouldn't believe how much Stan loves milk, but Stan wonders, how could I jazz up this milk thing? Add a little zip. Well, Kumis was what he came up with. It's fermented horse milk wine, very lightly alcoholic, and never spelled the same way twice as far as I can tell. Like, ever. It sounds a little weird, but the Stans really do love their fermented horse milk. Or more specifically, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. See what I did there? Nice work, Shakespeare. I'd clap, but somebody would have to animate my arms to do that. Kumis is ancient. It's been traced as far back as 4300 BC in Kazakhstan, and it possibly takes its name from a group of people known as the Kumyks. It's still frequently produced in places like Mongolia, where it's called arag, and is even in several South American countries like Colombia, where it's believed to have made its way via the Bering Strait. You too can get drunk on horse milk, so teenagers, get those pencils and paper ready. First, you have to harvest it from a horse. Now, horses aren't nearly as comfortable being milked as cows, especially if they're male. Please don't milk a male horse, because that's not milk. You want a lady horse, called a mare. That's a horse with a bow on it. Hey! But mares do not produce a lot of milk. If you're hoping to throw a kumis kegger based off one horse, some people are going to end up sober, but still shirtless. At this point, you'll begin to ferment the milk. Really old methods to ferment the milk involved getting blind slaves to stir and scoop it up to 3,000 times a day for even fermentation. After this is done for several days, the buttery product is traditionally poured into a leather sack. This sack has to stay in motion to prevent it from coagulating. One method of keeping the milk moving was to keep it strapped to a horse for several days. But the more social method involved every person in the village strapping one of the leather sacks to the outside of their doorway. Every time a villager passes by the sack, they're supposed to give it a good solid punch to shake up the horse booze inside. Mare's milk has a higher sugar content than other milks, so the resulting drink has an alcohol content of about 2.5%, which is not a lot. Yes, but why would you drink that? A big chunk of the world doesn't even ask that question. They just do it. It's fairly popular in many parts of the world. It's even spread to Japan, where the popular soda Calpis has modeled its flavor after the unique taste of kumis. Because it's so old, kumis holds a special place in the hearts of the people who have been drinking it for centuries. The people of Kyrgyzstan especially maintain a deep cultural connection to it, being of the belief that it puts them in touch with the culture of the past. They even have a saying, "Kumis is man's blood, and fresh air is his soul." It's so important to them that they named their capital Bishkek after the paddle that is used to stir kumis during production. But for years now, people have reported a number of health benefits deriving from the bubbly drink. In the early 1900s, there were even multiple resorts dedicated to the kumis cure, which involved drinking large quantities of the stuff. Popular claims at the time touted it as a treatment for ailments such as tuberculosis, bronchitis, and anemia. And the resorts were frequented by such guests as Leo Tolstoy and Anton Chekhov. Even though the health benefits are largely overstated, if not totally non-existent, there is a low but certainly present alcohol content that will probably make you feel better. So why not raise a glass of tasty, milky, bubbly, fermented horse squeezins to kumis. Hey guys, so I've made some homemade kumis because it's surprisingly hard to find here. Did the whole bit. Doesn't smell bad. Smells kind of yogurty. Ooh. I may have screwed up, but I feel like we have a contract here. And so now I gotta feed something to some people.
Oh, no. This has to be bad.
Fermented female horse milk.
It's weird though, because the closer it gets to my nose, the more like vomit wobble matter it smells.
Ooh, somebody said it smells like cake.
Oh, it smells like cake.
That person's an idiot. It actually does smell like cake. Like old yogurt with swamp water. And dyed it. Okay.
Nope. Wait.
Tastes like vomit waffle batter too.
Yeah,
Except thinner. This is the thing that people do willingly.
That's really bad.
Ew. I hated every bit of that.
Yeah, it's not
That
good.
was really
It's
deceiving.
terrible.
Oh, it tastes like vomit. Oh. It's like I threw up in my mouth.
Gets right in there, doesn't it? The taste itself.
What are your other thoughts on the flavor?
So vomit
Mhm.
and mostly vomit. It's like when you burp really hard and then like a little bit of barf comes up.
Yeah, a little bit of bile in the back of your throat.
Oh, what is that?
That's kumis. Maybe.
Why does it smell so good? It also hangs around in the back of your throat for like a while, or like the back
It
of your
hangs
mouth.
around like vomit,
Like
right?
I feel like I've got vomit breath, and I really need to like go have a couple of.
It's super weird that way. I don't care for that, and that made me feel bad instantly. These are all people who donate to the show, as well as dozens of others online. If you'd like to donate and help keep Why Would You Eat That alive, you can click on this button that says click to donate and go to Patreon.
Okay, thank you,
There's a
Kenny.
subscribe button there.
Thank you very much. So
Thank you, Professor.
thank you. So some people does
Professor, you
share.
need to... Yes. Okay, Professor.
Okay, thank you very much. So some people does not like some food. Some people like some food. So most of case, we judge the smell, aroma, or flavor instead of rather than taste on tongue. So for some reason, we have preference based on flavor or aroma from food. Like, you may know fermented soybean, like natto in Japan. Some people like it, but I personally do not like it very much because of its smell. I put, worn socks. It has smell of worn socks. It's because of the volatile compound produced by Bacillus subtilis. Is the name of bacteria. It makes fermented natto. So some people like its smell, but some people like me does not like the smell or aroma from fermented soybean. So it really depends on the culture or education or some genetic structure. Some people like it, some people doesn't like it. So I will finish this slide and try to make a brief break. So kumis, this is a fermented milk, yogurt, kefir, kumis. And only kumis has some alcohol. So yogurt or fermented milk does not have much significant amount of alcohol. But kumis has, it says minimum 0.5%. Usually kumis has 1.2 through 2.5% of alcohol. So this is considered as a alcohol beverage with long history. And this is the bacteria, name of taxonomy of bacteria that people found in kumis. Many lactobacillus, lactic acid bacteria, as well as yeast. So these produce alcohol. This break down protein in milk, as well as sugar found in horse milk, and some volatile compounds, small molecules, will make some people happy. What makes for some people makes unhappy because of the small volatile compound produced by this bacteria. So Kenny, can we break this slide? Can we make some small break?
Okay, Professor. What time you need for break?
5 minutes, is it too short?
Okay, professor.
Is it okay? Okay.
Thank you, professor.
Thank you.
Chicos, entonces tenemos 5 minutitos. Nos reencontramos a las 5:10 para continuar. Muchísimas gracias, chicos. Professor.
Okay.
Thank you, professor.
Okay. So let's resume the alcohol beverage. We are looking at some alcohol beverage. Some of you already have lot of knowledge about wine, beer, and some, sake, and also distilled alcohol beverage like whiskey, gin, brandy. So I try to, follow the history of alcohol beverage in the world. Now we looked at kumis, originated in 3500 BC. So more than 5,000 years ago. And they have long history. They still, people in Mongolia or Central Asian country, they still makes, this type of alcohol beverage, fermented milk with alcohol. So let's take a look at plug. This is found in Mexico, and they also produce or still produce this alcohol beverage. This is produced by agave plant. This is the raw materials for making tequila. Tequila is a distilled alcohol beverage. But this plug, about 2,000 years ago, the people in somewhere in Mexico or Central America developed this beverage by using agave plant. And they remove leaves, and there is a juice, and they use this liquid to ferment for fermentation to make this alcohol beverage. So it was originated about 2,000 years ago. So I will skip. I will give you this information. So if you are interested in, you can take a look at 6-minute, I think, YouTube later. Chicha de Ora. Is this? Can we find this beverage in Peru? I thought I have tasted before in Arequipa. This is a kind of wheat corn beer. I will follow. Chicha de Ora. It's a corn beer by using germinating maize. It's a kind of malt or extracting the malt sugar, boiling the water, and ferment in the large vessel. So they use the germinating corn, so starch converted to sugar in malt of corn, and they put yeast, or that people use natural yeast in the environment. So this is also, people do not know when this was originated. So it says unknown. So this YouTube also introduce how, people makes chicha by using germinating malts of corn. So if you are interested in, or you can take a look, and maybe procedure slightly different found in Peru. So you can teach me if you realize some difference or some misunderstanding in this YouTube. Palm wine. Oh, this is a kind of alcohol beverage by using coconut palm. So liquid extracted from coconut palm will be fermented with natural yeast. In Southeast Asia and some African countries, they make it. Alcohol level 1 through 5%, not very high. So there are so many alcohol beverages in the world. So this is a kind of banana beer. In Africa, Uganda, this is people in here has long history to make banana beer. And the alcohol level is significant, 6 to 11% by using banana. So you now realize that banana has sugar. Coconuts, milk, coconut milk has some sugar. And germinating corn has sugar. And agave plant, juice of agave plant has some sugar. So always, sugar is required to make alcohol, and also yeast will be required to make alcohol beverage. Even, we use different raw material, but still the, sugar always is needed to make alcohol. And we have many, I think, spirits through 12th through 15th centuries. Distilled spirit was discovered and originated. So I try to, working with Suntory to make how whiskey is made, the history of whiskey, or procedure to make whiskey. And I found that for making whiskey, they also have variety of yeast strain to make unique whiskey. And also blending is very important. So new course on whiskey or distilled alcohol should be fun to learn, to taste. So from this slide, some cocktail, history of cocktail will be shown. Chicha, rum, and tequila after 1521st was developed. Punch developed in 1730s by using gin. Absinthe, 1792. These are all alcohol beverages. Eggnog originated in 1795. This is very popular during the Christmas time in this area, in the Midwest, in the US. So people still drink eggnog during Christmas season. And cocktail, 1800. Gin and tonic was originated in 18th century. Kim's Cup, 1850. These are all cocktail. Blue Blazer. I have never had this beverage. 1862. Cocaine wine. This is a wine by adding coca extract. Wine and coca extract makes cocaine wine in 1863. But it was banned, prohibited to make it because of the cocaine and alcohol in the US. Alcohol used to be banned, prohibited in the US before. So two, chemical materials, cocaine and alcohol, it has. So in the United States, people cannot make it or cannot sell it. So this is a poster to appetite this beverage long time ago. Manhattan, 1870s. This cocktail was originated, whiskey-based short cocktail. Martini, gin-based short cocktail. So mid-19th century or late mid-19th century, many famous cocktail was developed. Daiquiri, 1905, frozen daiquiri, using rum mixed with lime juice and sugar. Negroni, Campari, Vermouth, and dry gin. So gin-based cocktail also developed. Bloody Mary is a vodka-based cocktail with Tabasco, or maybe tomato juice, and lemon. So many cocktail was developed. Margarita is another famous cocktail. This is tequila-based. Oh yeah, I know. I remember we put some salt in the hand and drink margarita. Bellini, wine-based cocktail. So many cocktail developed. The high alcohol beer, I didn't know that, but 2010, some company tried to make high alcohol beer. So this beer was introduced in 2010, year of 2010. It has more than 55% of alcohol. This beer has. And this shows the alcohol level in the beer, 24%, 27, 31, 32, 40. So usually whiskey, brandy has about 40% of alcohol level. But this beer, kind of beer, has more alcohol. Some company try to develop. It's in this beer is called End of History beer. Was reintroduced year of 2016. The price was 20,000 US dollar per bottle. Very expensive. So not for us, for people, maybe some some collector who collect unusual alcohol beverage may buy. This is another Sam Adams Utopia. So this has a 24% of alcohol, but still one bottle price is $210. Very expensive, too expensive. It has alcohol level about more than 20. So for some reason, some company tried to make it. So this is a kind of, it said 57% of alcohol this beer has. And one bottle price is $300. So how we can make it? So this YouTube shows how to make this type of beer with more than 50% of alcohol. So if you are interested in, you can take a look at it. Usually we freeze beer. First we make frozen beer and next thaw beer and remove ice, because the temperature for melting is different between water and alcohol. So we can remove water from frozen beer and try to enrich the alcohol level more and more. So this is another way to make alcohol beverage with more alcohol level. Distillation is one way to make beverage with more alcohol. This is another technique to make beverage with more alcohol. Remove water by freezing, or remove water by evaporating. So these two major procedures to make beverage with more alcohol level. And these are whiskey. So we already covered these beverage in sake basic. So we will just skip and try to move another topic, fermentation and respiration. I will switch my PowerPoint. I do not know whether you already took some courses on biology or biochemistry. So if it is too complicated, so I will ask Kenny your feedback about this part. If it is too complicated, I will modify some materials later. So I already told you that sugar is required to make alcohol by using microorganisms like yeast. Yeast produce alcohol for their benefit. So alcohol, what yeast produce, will protect yeast cell from other organisms. Some bacteria, like lactic acid bacteria, produce lactic acid to protect themselves from other microorganisms or organisms. So alcohol is the same. Yeast make it to obtain energy and also to protect them from other microorganisms. But our people enjoy alcohol very much. The yeast do not know how we like alcohol, what they make. They make for their own purpose, but our people, we enjoy alcohol very much. So respiration and fermentation is a procedure to make alcohol. So this shows schematic diagram shows the carbon on the Earth. First in the Earth or in the universe, first hydrogen was made. Next, helium was made. And someday carbon was made. And because of the existence of carbon, because of the structure of carbon, I put generation of carbon on the Earth made huge number of variety of compounds because of this shape. Valence electron, it has 4. So carbon has potential to make variety of chemical compound due to these 4 hands. Since it has 4 possible sites to react with other chemicals, large number of chemicals can be made. So some of them are like a starch or glucose, sugar. And some of them are lipid, and also protein can be made because of the structure of carbon. And the volatile compound always, most of the case, carbon involved. So this is the metabolic map. How complicated, very complex chemical reaction are performed because of the existence of carbon. This is the gut cell, and glucose, very simple sugar, enter to the cell. And in the cytosol, glucose will be converted to pyruvate. And this is a eukaryote cell. So it has some organella, like a mitochondria. The pyruvate enter to mitochondria. And further breakdown will be performed through cyclic acid cycle and electron transport system on the outer membrane, inner membrane of mitochondria. So sugar enter to the cytoplasm and converted to 2 molecules of pyruvate. 1 molecule of glucose convert to 2 molecules of pyruvate, enter mitochondria. The cyclic acid cycle makes further breakdown of pyruvate to CO2 and H2O. So this is the relationship between the structure of cell and the metabolism, carbon metabolism, or primary metabolism. If we have enough amount of oxygen in the presence of high-level oxygen, this entire metabolism will be performed. Glucose will be converted. Glucose break down into CO2 and water. And we will have total 38 molecules of ATP, stored energy, within molecule of ATP. Total 38 will be made from 1 molecule of glucose. But if we don't have enough amount of oxygen in the environment, so this reaction will be stopped at this point. And only we have 2 molecules of ATP as a stored energy from 1 molecule of glucose. And the byproduct will be made. And ethanol is one possible byproduct in the environment of anaerobic condition. In the absence of oxygen, ethanol will be produced as a byproduct of glycolysis, is the name of this pathway. Well, another possibility, lactic acid may be produced as a byproduct in the absence of oxygen within certain species of bacteria. It depends on the enzyme, type of enzyme each bacteria or microorganism has. And we will back. So glycolysis, this is performed in cytoplasm. This is glycolysis, performed within cytoplasm. If we have enough amount of oxygen, pyruvate go to mitochondria and further breakdown will be performed within mitochondria. And the CO2 and H2O will be produced. And this YouTube will introduce how citric acid cycle, this cycle will be performed. So this is obtained by Harvard Online. So Harvard University offered many excellent, YouTube movie to introduce, to show what happened in each process. So if you are interested in, you can take a look at these materials later. So again, if we don't have much oxygen, in the absence of oxygen, glucose will be converted to pyruvate, that's it. And if it happens in the lactic acid bacteria, and the pyruvate will be converted to lactate. If this procedure happens in the yeast, pyruvate will be converted to ethanol as a byproduct of glycolysis. So this shows aerobic oxidation. Pyruvate made by glycolysis will be converted, will move on to citric acid cycle, and it will be degraded. It will be break down completely to make CO2 and H2O. So this is a respiration. And if we don't have enough amount of oxygen in environment, and fermentation, like alcohol fermentation or lactate fermentation, will be occur. In the absence of oxygen, pyruvate will be the last product. Pyruvate cannot move on to the mitochondria or do not move on to citric acid cycle. So pyruvate will be accumulated within the cell. Accumulated pyruvate will be converted to the ethanol in yeast cell because yeast has two enzymes to convert pyruvate to ethanol. So this is the ethanol or alcohol fermentation. This is the respiration, fermentation. Another type of fermentation, one example is lactate fermentation. Pyruvate will be converted to lactate in the absence of oxygen in some microorganisms. So this is again fermentation in the absence of oxygen. Fermentation in the absence of oxygen. Respiration in the presence of oxygen. So this is the difference between respiration and fermentation. So this slide shows the comparison of energy efficiency by carbon metabolism. So you may remember 38 molecules of ATP, stored energy, stored chemical energy, will be produced by respiration, versus 2 molecules will be produced by glycolysis or fermentation. 38 versus 2. 2 molecules of ATP will be made by glycolysis in the absence of oxygen. But if we have enough amount of oxygen in the presence of oxygen, pyruvate further degraded through citric acid cycle. So 36 more ATP will be made here. Only 2 molecules of ATP will be made here. So 2 versus 36. So 2 plus 36 makes 38 molecules of ATP will be produced by entire process of respiration. Fermentation, only 2. And 1 molecules of ATP has 36 kilojoules of energy. So fermentation can keep only 66 kilojoules out of 2,881 kilojoules what was found stored in 1 molecule of glucose. So 1 molecule of glucose has 2,000, almost 3,000 kilojoules of energy. But through fermentation, in the absence of oxygen, only 66. This is only 2.3% of energy will be obtained from glucose. But if we have lots of oxygen, energy efficiency is more efficient. 43.5% of energy out of 2,881 kilojoules will be acquired. 1,254 kilojoules of energy will be stored in 38 molecules of ATP. So for fermentation, more than 97% of energy was lost. Only 2% of energy will be stored. But for the respiration, still 56% of energy will be lost, but still more than 40% of energy originated in 1 molecule of glucose will be captured. This is the difference between respiration and fermentation. So the organism grow or survive in the anaerobic condition. The size of organism is not very big because of the low efficiency to acquire, to capture energy from environment, like from sugar. But organism can be survived in the presence of oxygen, can utilize energy very efficiently, and the size of organism getting bigger and bigger. So this is the difference between respiration and fermentation. And in this course, we will focus on 2 fermentation. Alcohol fermentation. This is very important to make alcohol, ethanol. And lactate fermentation. This is also very important to make for many alcohol beverage production. So we will cover. So next week, first I will explain alcohol molecule and alcohol fermentation. And next, I will move on to take a look at lactate fermentation by using lactic acid bacteria. So two fermentation we will look at in next, or actually next Sunday. Oh yeah. Yeah, next Sunday I will be here. And April 9th I will be in Portuguese, so I cannot make it. But next week, so these two fermentation we closely look at. This is another YouTube provided by Harvard University. It showed the mitochondria as a power plant in a cell. So as I told you earlier, mitochondria is an organelle within a cell. This organelle perform cyclic acid cycle and also electron transport system on the membrane. This part, ATP will be produced. So proton H plus pumped out from inside of mitochondria to outside. The proton concentration, we have gradient. High proton concentration in the outside, low proton concentration in the inside. And proton will be go to inside due to the density of proton, and ATP will be made on the membrane. So this is a mitochondria, and this YouTube introduce. Maybe we don't need the sound, so we will briefly take a look at. Oh yeah. Also, we need sound, so I will stop. And if you are interested in about mitochondria function or character of mitochondria, so this is the organelle called mitochondria within a cell. So you can take a look at data. So fermentation. So next week we will move on to discuss about fermentation. Definition. Metabolism process. So fermentation is a kind of metabolic process. Produce chemicals change in organic substrate through action of enzyme. So fermentation is a kind of metabolic process. Produce chemical change in organic substrate means chemicals with carbon through the action of enzyme. And we have two sub-definitions about fermentation. One is called narrow definition. Another is called broad definition. Narrow definition, the extraction of energy from carbohydrate in the absence of oxygen. So this is narrow definition of fermentation. In the absence of oxygen, carbohydrate, degradation of carbohydrate, have to make energy. So this is narrow definition. Broad definition, any process can be called as fermentation, in which actively microorganisms bring about a desirable change to a foodstuff or beverage. So based on broad definition, they don't care about the energy production. Some microorganisms produce desirable change to the food or beverage, and we can call fermentation. even, no aspect of energy will be considered. So these are two sub-definitions. But both major definition is true. Metabolic process for either case, metabolic process involve produce chemical change in organic substrate with enzyme action. For both cases, this is true, but slightly different between two sub-definitions. And we have alcohol fermentation. These are some examples of fermentation. Lactic acid fermentation. So we will take a look at these two molecules and fermentation next week. And metal fermentation, hydrogen fermentation. Also we can find the word of fermentation in methane fermentation, hydrogen fermentation. So we may discuss briefly about these two additional words of fermentation in next week. Ethanol fermentation. So we will take a look at ethanol fermentation first. And next, lactic acid fermentation. Should be energy production. We will, before that, I will explain. As I told you earlier, through the membrane, we will make ATP. Here is a membrane of mitochondria. There is an electron transport system. This has a function of energy production. In another word, ATP production within mitochondria. This is just like the power plant, hydroelectric dam, very similar with the mitochondria, function of mitochondria. For the hydroelectric dam, we use the difference of the level of water inside of the dam or outside of the dam. So this, difference of the level, we water flow, because from high to low, water flow, and turbine will rotate due to the flow of water from high place to low place, and generator makes electric power. And very similar with ATP production. So this time, not water, proton, level of proton inside of the mitochondria, actually outside of the mitochondria, high. Inside of the mitochondria, level of proton is very low. So proton move from high to low, just like water flow, high to low. And this molecule will rotate on the membrane and try to make ATP by using ATP, adenosine diphosphate with phosphate. Adenosine triphosphate, ATP, will be made by using adenosine diphosphate. Diphosphate has two phosphate plus one phosphate makes ATP. So this ATP will store energy, chemical energy. So electric energy will be converted to chemical energy by using this molecule, by using the difference of level of proton from outside of mitochondria to inside of mitochondria. It is interesting. It rotates. So this like a turbine rotate on the membrane, and ATP molecule energy will be stored by using this molecule. So energy production is a major role for respiration or fermentation. And energy will be stored in ATP, either glycolysis or fermentation or respiration in the presence of oxygen. This is presence of oxygen. 38 molecules of ATP produced. In the absence of oxygen, only 2 molecules of oxygen, 2 molecules of ATP will be produced. How ATP made? So this slide shows how I put, yeah, this is a note. Can you? 3 proton move through F0. So proton go from here to this way. And 1 proton enter F0. And this structure rotates 120 degrees. And ADP, adenosine diphosphate, which has 2 molecules of phosphate, enter the beta subunit. So this blue subunit. So this 1 molecule enter inside of this structure. And second proton enter to this structure. And another 120 degree rotate. And ADP is phosphorylated to make ATP. So second proton makes 1 molecule of ATP. And third proton, when third proton enter this structure, and another 120 degree, this structure rotate. And the beta subunit open. And it will be ready to accept, to receive another molecule of adenosine diphosphate. So 1 enter, rotate 120 degrees, and this structure close. Second proton enter, and ATP made. And third proton enter, and another 120 degree rotate, and this structure open. And it will be ready to accept, to receive another ATP. And proton number 4 enter. And ATP, another ATP made. Proton number, yeah, just like that. So 3 proton are required to make 1 molecule of ATP. So just like, 3 maybe water required to make turbine rotate 360 degrees to make 1 unit of energy or electric power. It's too complicated, but again, the important thing, I will, make summary of what I was thinking important, that like a sheet, and put the sheet to Google Drive with this PowerPoint. I hope it will help you to overcome my terrible English. So the important thing is, in the presence or in the absence of oxygen, organism need to energy to be survived. efficiency is different, but still all organisms, produce some level of energy or some level of capture, some level of energy from food, with carbohydrate. And energy will be stored in ATP molecule, which is just like, hydroelectric dam makes electric power by using small molecule of, which is called ATPase, kind of enzyme. This enzyme rotate and keep energy found in organic materials within ATP. So Kenny, I will stop and try to, upload some data and summary for this class. I hope it will help you to understand more. So can I stop now?
Okay, Professor. Thank you for
Okay.
this session.
Thank you very much.